Come on, Livingston. We're gonna go on and on and on. Together we can make it. We're gonna go on and on and on. Come on, Livingston.
Knocks it through. Mullen bursting into the box. Josh Mullen.
Together we can make it.
Mullen's ball across. It's turned in. It's Pittman who's got it. Livingston leads.
Road is long.
Can they get the ball back in? O'Brien.
Lead! And Livingston have the lead.
Man, you score.
If we march to
The full-time whistle blows and David Hayes celebrates. And the Livingston fans join in exultation.
come on, Livingston.
Livingston have the lead against Rangers, and they are certainly rising to a few occasions on their return to the top flight in Scotland.
Come on, Livingston. We're gonna go.
Hello and welcome back to TalkLivi, the podcast dedicated to everything Livingston Football Club and Scottish football. My name's Andy, and today we roll out the red carpet for LFC Live's second commentator, Callum Brown. Ewan also joins me. How we doing, boys? Always a better weekend after a win, isn't it?
Yeah, much better mood. Good performance, which we'll obviously go on to later on. But yeah, it was exactly what the team needed. So yeah, in a good mood this weekend.
Yeah,
Great
delighted
stuff.
to be back, gents. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. That 1 and 4, 1 and 5 is keeping you going, Callum. Almost part of the podcast.
Busy guy, mate. Yeah, my agent hadn't been getting in touch and stuff. So, but I'm glad you've invited me back on.
Yeah, the Livingston result for me is the only positive this weekend. I've got horrendous toothache, so it might be a good thing. Folk will maybe not have to listen to me as much this week, so that's maybe a good thing. But anyway, coming up this week, we look back at that big win against Dundee Utd, 2 from 2 for Davy Martindale as interim manager. Liam Fox returned to the club to assist with Davy with training, so what better time to bring back What Does Your Fox in? And finally, we look ahead to our next game. It's a trip to Perth to face St Johnstone.
It was a huge game at the Tony Macaroni Arena at the weekend as Livy faced up to Dundee United, looking to win in the league for the first time since October. Dundee United, without their manager and coaching staff, were led by former Livy player Thomas Courts for the day. A fairly drab first half ended goalless, but the second half came to life thanks to 2 goals from Scott Pittman and goal-scoring machine Marvin Bartley to send us on our way to victory. It was a 2-0 win. What a difference a win makes. Hey, guys.
Yeah, huge lift to me personally. Amazing. Thought as you said there, Ewan, first half wasn't great. Not a lot in it. I don't think at all. Very very even, and arguably Dundee United sort of started, the better team, 20, 25 minutes. But I think second half we were miles the better team, sort of dominated the game, controlled possession. And yeah, brilliant goal from Pittman, sort of driving at the heart of that defence. Sometimes he's done that this season and he's not had the shot. He's been sort of selfless. And he's trying to find a teammate, but he's gone himself, and it's a brilliant strike. And then the second goal as well, coming at the time that it did, you could be going in just with that one goal cushion, sort of last 10, 15 minutes. But it was a crucial goal from the skipper, Marvin Bartley. And yeah, clean sheet as well. So a fantastic day for us, really.
Yeah, 2 and 2 now, 2 clean sheets in 2 games and 2 wins out of 2 for Davy Martindale. He's certainly, obviously, he's came out this week and said that he wants the job. He's certainly put himself as the front runner now after 2 good performances. It's almost like the Livingston, the old Livingston that we all know and we all love, that hard working side that will throw bodies on the line. I think there was a perfect example in the Dundee United game. I think it was maybe Fitzwater or Pittman maybe running back and throwing his body on the line for a shot on the edge of the box. I think in the first half, epitomised everything that's good about us. I agree. I think probably the first 15, 20 minutes we were under the cosh a little bit. I thought Dundee United created a couple of chances, but again, I go back to throwing our bodies on the line and last ditch tackles, which obviously kept the scores level. Second half we were much better. We controlled the game. I was a wee bit surprised listening to Thomas Court's post-match. I didn't think they dominated the first half. I think he used the word dominated the first half. I wouldn't go that far. I thought they were slightly the better team, but when they say dominated, I think if anybody dominated a half, it was us in the second half. We scored 2 great goals. I think that Pittman strike, I think, is probably underrated by a lot of fans. I think it was an absolute brilliant strike, the way he runs deep for the midfield. I think the part that Poblatnik played in the goal is massive, the way he won his head, which is exactly what we need from him. And we might have just found a replacement for Lyndon Dykes, who's played the last 2 games and been very, very good. Obviously, he's not scored, but he's 2 assists now in the 2 games that he's played, which is exactly really what we need, especially if we're spreading goals across the group. And Bartley seems to enjoy a little bicycle kick. He's obviously his 2 goals for us have both been almost bicycle kick like, and we'll take it. But I think the most important thing was to get the win and push us up the table, and obviously just get that wee bit of confidence back, because as we've kind of touched on over the last few weeks, this lot of games is massive for our season defining, as you put, Ewan, and I think that's a really good start. I think we put a tweet out today saying that's exactly where we are compared to last season, which surprised me a little bit. Now, I'm not going to lie, I was surprised to see us level to where we were last season. I think the difference is there's not teams cut adrift this season. I think there's a muchness in the league between sort of 6th and 12th place, which obviously puts it under pressure a little bit more. But yeah, a really good performance and a massive 3 points, and it's great to get a clean sheet on top of that as well.
Yeah, touching on kind of what you guys have said, I think Dundee United kind of first 15, 20 minutes, I think probably looked slightly brighter and a bit more composed on the ball. It was still really scrappy. There wasn't really anything kind of clear-cut created, but I think as the half wore on, we gradually started to impose ourselves a lot more, and that led to the second half performance, which I think I put it on Twitter, I think we blew Dundee United away second half. I think we were absolutely bang at it. Could have had more than the 2 that we got. I think John Guthries had a couple of decent chances, one that's felt on his right foot. Josh Mullen got in behind as well, decent save from Seagrass. Marv had another chance as well, which he could have put away. But again, it was a decent save, and obviously you touched on the goal Pittman scored. It's a great little knockdown by Poblatnik, who I think was excellent. I think few folk might have kind of seen him go under the radar, but it's just these little clever flicks and things like that to keep the play flowing that I find really clever from Poblatnik. And Davey kind of touched it during the week. I think we've always been quite careful when we've brought in guys who maybe haven't played in the UK before, and we kind of try and bed them in very gradually and slowly. And I think that's benefited Poblatnik because he looks the part the last few games when he's came in as a result. But yeah, great finish by Pittman, as you say, ran from almost the halfway line where he's picked up the ball and drove at the heart of the United defence, and it's a great finish. Marv, obviously, he doesn't score many, but I mean, bicycle kicks, it's what he specialises in apparently. Great for him. It was almost a year to the day that he scored his last one against Hearts at Tynecastle, so he'll be buzzing with that. I think he's only one behind John Guthrie, and you know how competitive those 2 get. So he'll be trying to catch John now. But yeah, it was a tremendous second half performance. I think the real pick out for me was Jack Fitzwater. I think the last 2 games, I think he's been fantastic. Don't think he put a foot wrong. I think he was, he's probably still, Lawrence Shankland's still trying to get out his back pocket. Had one sniff late on when the game's already dead and buried. And John Guthrie was very good next to him as well. But I was really impressed with Jack. Thought he had a really good game. Poblatnik up top was impressed with. And I think Marv looked back to his best. Obviously got his goal, but I think kind of watched sports scene there, and he was roaming about the pitch. He was, stopping the game where he could. And he looked more like the Marvin Bartley we saw last year, which is what we've been needing from him. Yeah, Dundee United had a lot of the ball at times, but I don't think they ever really opened us up that much. As I say, Shankland had one late on, but it's a comfortable save for Stryjek between the sticks. And look, it was a massive result. It was what we've been crying out for. And I think the last two games, the point I've been making is that we've looked shaky defensively. In the last two games, we seem to have got that steadiness at the back, and we're not giving away chances like we had been in previous games, and daft goals resulting from that. That's, I would say, is the biggest positive the last couple of games, is how solid we've looked again. We've looked back to that team that we expect on a weekly basis. You have to work to get chances against us. And Davy Martindale, certainly, as you say, he's come out and said he wants the job. And I think the last couple of performances and results certainly put him as the front runner for it. And not going to lie, I wouldn't complain if he got the job.
I agree. But just on the game as well, I think we sort of came into it a wee bit under pressure. You know, if we don't win, again, you're sort of looking down the table. Hamilton, I think if we did not won, Hamilton have won. St Mirren have got a point. So I think we're looking more up now than down. But as well, especially with the COVID outbreak at Dundee United, albeit their team was still, I thought, very strong. They're missing a few key players, Pollock, Clark, Butcher, guys like that. But I think, if you're an onlooker and you're going, oh, United have got 9 guys out, imagine Livy getting beat off them or not beating them, etc. I think that maybe put a wee bit of pressure on us going into the game. But, I thought that we handled it well. And yeah, second half, if we play like that for the rest of the season, that second half performance will be more than fine. And we can kick on up the table, hopefully.
Yeah, I think you're both spot on there. What I would say is Dundee United again, I've said it all season, I think we've all kind of mentioned Dundee United, so poor. How they're above us in the league, I'll never know. I think there was 1 shot on target the last game up at Tannadice, 2 shots on target in the game yesterday. I'm amazed that we are behind them. They've looked so poor. Definitely the poorest side we've faced this season for me, but that's not to take anything away from the result. I think what helped us a little bit, first half we struggled a little bit. Dundee United, I felt, sat quite deep, but also pressed high, leaving gaps in the middle of the field, and I don't think we really sort of pounced on that. But I think half time, Davy and the coaching team had a wee word, and we played a little bit more through the thirds. And we got in behind our midfield quite a lot, and obviously that the first goal comes for that, is getting in behind the midfield and obviously getting the strike away. I think you're right, Marvin Bartley's back to himself. I don't know if that's whether he's almost been given that free role again. I think under Gary he was maybe told to sit back a little bit more, and all of a sudden the last couple of games I feel like he's got forward a bit more, and over the sort of last season, he was one for running down the wing. I don't think we've seen that at all this season up until the last couple of games, and it's made such a difference. I think Sibbald alongside him added. I think he looked really up for it in the game. He was biting into tackles, and I thought he was impressive. I can't think of anybody that put in a poor performance, and it really is a good sign going forward. And as you said, Callum, I think it was a really important win, given the results, the way they went in the game. And obviously, like you say, we go into the game against St Johnstone now. We're only 2 points behind them. If we somehow manage to win that game, we're up to 7th place and then looking again above us again. So it's amazing how football can turn, and hopefully it does next week, but we'll obviously come on to that a bit later on.
I think it was documented during the week. Obviously, Liam Fox is back as well. He's joining the coaching staff, certainly in the interim. Club legend, Foxy. What are our thoughts on that? Personally, I think it's a really smart move by Davy, getting someone in who already knows a lot of the backroom team. And he's obviously a kind of up-and-coming promising coach as well. So what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, no, I think it's a really clever move by the club and by Davy to bring Liam in to help out. I think it's been reported that Tony Caig's only in a couple of days a week. Davy was obviously then left himself to do a bit of coaching, so I think it's a really really good move. And as you say, Liam Fox is a club legend. He knows the club inside out, and he'll bring a really good experience for his time at Hearts. And obviously, he was at County Beef as the manager for a spell. Didn't quite go to plan, but I think as a coach, there's probably a good opportunity for him to develop himself and obviously fit in at the club really well. So to be honest, I wouldn't be against Davy Martindale getting the job permanently and having Liam Fox there permanently as well. I think it's a good team and there's good possibilities there.
Yeah, we had Foxy on LFC Live, and just like sort of speaking to him half time before the game, sort of even after it, he was just like so sort of tactically switched on and things, sort of explaining, you just football chat in general, like, oh, what did you think of that? Like, I don't know, just the sort of, he's got a typical coaching brain. Like he was, I don't know, he'd strike me as the type of guy, like you're sat at the dinner table, I think he'd sort of like move the salt and pepper, etc., about to, very switched on. And again, he's played, at the highest level in Scotland, for I think for us as well. Obviously a club legend, so it can only be good. And he's still a young guy as well, so he'll be sort of switched on as well to the modern game too. I think the sort of analysis side of things, that's been brought in by modern football. But no, it's definitely a good appointment, and I wouldn't at all be against, if he was to be, after the interim phase, if him and Davy were to take the team going forward, I wouldn't be against that at all. I think it, hopefully, with the last recent results, him and Davy seem to be striking up a decent partnership. So hopefully that can continue. So we've just spoken a little bit about him there, but to honour the return of Liam Fox as a coach at the club, this is probably an ideal time to bring back our feature, What Does Your Fox In? Obviously our take on the TV show Room 101, and in honour of one of our most Marmite players of all time, and now coach, Liam Fox. We'll start with Andy. What does your Fox in?
So team lineups shown in numerical order rather than positionally. I'm looking at you, Dundee United, Ross County, St Mirren, Aberdeen, Celtic. Special mention to Hearts as well. They are probably the worst out the lot for the way they announced the team. It's horrendous. It really, really bugs the life out of me. What is the problem in putting players in their positions when they post the lineups? It's not difficult to do. It's okay for the home fans. They know the players, they know the positions that they play in, but for away fans, when you're looking at the opposition teams, you're like, right, who plays where? What's going on here? Why have they got Craig Halkett? Just as an example, we obviously know where Craig Halkett plays, but if you weren't clued up, why have you got Craig Halkett in the striking position on your team lineup? It doesn't make sense. Really, really does my Fox in, to be honest. It really, really bugs the life out of me.
Really, that bugs you? So you've just said, so most football fans are switched on enough to know, they watch enough football highlights and stuff to know where players play. So fans are going, fuck me, they're playing Craig Halkett up front today. That's mad. That's absolutely bloody mad. Oh, Christopher Ayers playing up front for Celtic. That's crazy. Why would you do that?
I'm not saying fans are stupid. I'm saying it really, really does my Fox. And how difficult is it to just put your graphic on social media that's got the team in a specific order? There's like half the teams in the Premiership do it. Motherwell, Kilmarnock, Hamilton, St Johnstone, Rangers, Hibs, ourselves. We post the lineup in positional sense rather than numerical, and it's absolutely great. You go to these other places and they position themselves numerically. It makes no sense whatsoever. Like, who cares what number they are? Just position them in their lineup naturally in their positions rather than numerically. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's pointless.
I do get your point. I actually quite agree with you. But I mean, if I'm trying to look at it from a club point of view, the only way you could argue that it's good would be that I think, you're not maybe wanting to, again, we're obvious we're going to line up at a 4-2-3-1 or whatever it was at the weekend. Maybe if you put it numerically, you sort of leave I'm not saying the St Johnstone manager next week's not going to be looking at our Twitter feed and going, oh, so that'll be the formation. You know what I mean? But like maybe for fans and other fans of opposition teams, you sort of go, it's more difficult to work out. But again, that could be a negative because your own team, you could be looking at it like, let's again say Celtic for example. You've got sort of, I think Laxalt's like 93 or something, so you'll be the last on the thing, and then you've got.
So that means Laxalt's playing up front.
Yeah,
according to the
obviously it
graphic,
doesn't, but it's just I don't get it, to be honest.
no, I think I appreciate you're backing me up, Callum, at the start, but I think your second part you're talking nonsense. To be honest, managers and
Just trying to play devil's advocate, mate.
no, I understand, but managers and players aren't going to look at the Twitter graphic or the Facebook graphic and go, "Oh, I don't know how they're lining up today." Managers
Yeah,
are
I realised that as I was halfway through. To be fair,
yeah, managers and coaches are pretty clued up on how teams are going to play. I think it's just really frustrating for fans looking at it. See, even home fans are just, again, I go to Hearts because they've got like the worst graphics in the world. They post a team fully pictures rather than names at times. And then they've went back to names but in numerical order. And even Hearts fans think it's really annoying. So if their own fans think it's annoying, then it's annoying for everybody. Just stop doing it.
Can we stop mentioning irrelevant championship clubs, please?
Yes.
And this time, there's probably a reason they do that because they're in the seaside leagues. Can we just stick to the Premiership aspect, please?
Yeah, tin pot. You're right. Good call, Ewan. Anyway, that's mine. Graphics that are in numerical order rather than positionally. Ewan, what are you thinking for yours?
My one this week is players who wear their socks round their ankles. There's obviously a high-profile one in the Scotland squad these days, which is Ollie McBurney. And then you've got Jack Grealish as another one who's obvious sticks out with the socks round the ankles. Pull the bloody socks up, lads. I mean, you don't look like a hipster, right? You're not playing in the 70s or 80s. It's 2020. Come on, pull your bloody socks up and stop looking like a twat.
So you heard that there, Scott Robinson. If you're listening, Ewan dislikes you because you wear your socks round your ankles.
It's not, his aren't around his ankles though. His are actually halfway up his calf because he has small shin pads.
I think you're clutching at straws there. They're definitely around his ankles.
They're not around his ankles. I'm not having that one.
Does it affect you as a player?
No, it just makes you look like a plonker, I think. And
Yeah,
that's genuinely my argument. I just think it looks absolutely daft. I think you just attract unnecessary attention to yourself when you do that. And that's probably why Jack Grealish is the most fouled player in the Premier League, because folk just want to kick him because he looks like a plonker.
I think you had one in an earlier, maybe it was last season or whatever. I don't think you like the proper coloured boots or anything. So my sort of argument to that would be, if everyone just wore black boots and socks up to their knees, it'd look pretty plain and boring.
Okay, Gokwan. I mean, I'm not getting that argument. What I do agree with you, and I think I've brought it up a few times about the socks thing, and when we do the international part, I've brought up that just like really bugs me that Ollie McBurney struts about there with his ankles round his ankles round his socks round his ankles. And you pulled me up.
That'll probably explain why he's not been playing well for Scotland if his ankles are around his socks.
Exactly. But I'm almost certain, and I mean I'm not going to go back through the archives, Ewan, but I'm almost certain you've pulled me up about it because basically you said I don't like him because he wears his socks around his ankles. So I mean, you don't like players that wear their socks around their ankles. So I mean, you've got to agree with me then in future.
Well, no, actually, your point, you never actually used to mention. It's only recently you've started to mention you don't know what he brings. You genuinely hated him from his first cap with Scotland because of the socks. I was going to give him a chance on the footballing ability, but you hated him from day one because of the socks. I now also don't like Ollie McBurney because I don't think he contributes anything to Scotland, plus his socks. but I was willing to give him a chance, despite the socks. But the socks still irritated me, but that wasn't my reason for why he shouldn't get called up for Scotland.
It wasn't mine either. It just annoys me.
That was your original reasoning for why he shouldn't get called up, was because of his socks, before he'd even kicked the ball.
Yeah, it's a good point, though, to be fair. He does look ridiculous. Anyway, Callum, what does your Fox in this week?
I think I'm a beaten man this afternoon, I have to say. But I'm going to go for going off a result this afternoon as well, and last weekend. The fact that, you know, the sort of the underdog, or the team that aren't favourite to win, play against one of the old firm, or one of the Glasgow teams, whatever way you want to call it, and they don't get the credit for their results. It's always, Rangers were poor, Celtic were poor. There's a crisis at Rangers, there's a crisis at Celtic. Obviously, there is a crisis at Celtic at the minute, but again, in my opinion, there's been no credit whatsoever given to Ross County last week, who've got to Celtic Park and won 2-0. And from what I've seen, pundits, etc., there's been hardly any credit for St Johnstone, who've gone to Parkhead and got a 1-0 draw. I think there was little credit, if I remember, for us earlier in the season, that 0-0 draw against Rangers at the Tony Macaroni Arena. So, I mean, again, that was sort of, it was the pitch, or Rangers went at their best that day. There was credit, but there wasn't. You know, it's not talked up enough. It's always the big boys aren't up to scratch, and it's sort of lucky for the little team. But yeah, I think basically smaller teams should be given more credit when they get a brilliant result, like St Johnstone today, and like Ross County last weekend, and like us over the last few seasons, should be given more credit for results against the big sides.
I think the problem with that, Callum, I think, is that it's always going to happen. It's not just Rangers and Celtic. I think you probably look at ourselves over the years when we've picked up really, really good wins against, you know, our teams have beat us, should I say, that are classed as smaller teams or whatever. We always get labelled, Livingston were off form today. I think it's only natural for pundits and things to look at the bigger teams and say, well, if you were on form, you know, you would have won the game, and you weren't on form, so you've lost the game. So I think it's only natural as a pundit and to say these sort of things, that, you know, the bigger team was off it, so that's how the wee teams won. But I get your point. It is frustrating, and we have been on the end of it as well in terms of sort of Celtic results and Rangers results. When we beat Celtic last season, you know, it was a lot to do with Celtic. But I would say that we did get some credit across the sort of country, and from opposition fans and certain pundits out there giving us credit. And I think it'll be the same for Ross County. There has been credit, I think, out there, just not as much. And obviously St Johnstone, the results just happened this afternoon, so we just wait and see. But I do get your point, but I think it's a natural thing for pundits to look at the faults from the big teams rather than the small teams.
I don't think it happens just in Scotland, though. It happens everywhere. Like, Man United lose a game, crisis. It's, you know, they're a massive club. Happens with Man City, happens with Liverpool as well. You know, the credit
Barcelona lost to Cadiz yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it happens in every country, because there's certain clubs that always dominate as such. And in Scotland, it's, you know, it is predominantly two teams that dominate. So it's always good that the media story isn't Livingston beat Celtic, it's Celtic lose to Livingston or something like that. That's the media story. That's what folk will be interested in.
Plus, Callum, you'll know yourself, being a journalism student, that it's all about selling things, you know, and most people in this country support Celtic and Rangers, so they're going to sell more things if they mention Celtic and Rangers more often than they speak about any other team. I'm sure you'll have been.
I'm not selling it, bud.
So, I'm sure you're not, but I'm sure at some point in your career, if you come up with a headline, it'll be more to do with the bigger team to sell more papers. Unfortunately, that's how it works in this world, I'm afraid. But yeah, I think personally, I think you're out, Callum. I don't think you've got a hope in hell this week. It might be proved wrong.
Come on,
talk about headlines.
Let's get voting.
Super Cali go ballistic. Celtic are atrocious. There
Very
you go.
good.
Celtic are atrocious. There's the headline there.
Super Cali came first. Again, were Inverness given enough credit that night? Probably not. Sad.
Because it doesn't sell as many papers.
Exactly.
Nobody...
I think you're scraping the bottom of the barrel here, Callum. I'm afraid.
No, the user just explaining the reasoning behind it. Like it still does my head in. Like it does my fox in. It doesn't matter why it is. It's still, in my opinion, wrong and not fair. I know why it happened.
It is wrong and it's not fair, but that's life. Life isn't fair sometimes. So we just need to get on with it, I'm afraid. It might do you foxing, but it's not going to change.
Just briefly as well, while I was on about pundits there and sort of not giving enough credit, a man that we've spoken about on What Does Your Fox In? Alan Preston, what were our thoughts on that?
Alan Preston.
Yeah, a couple of comments over the weekend. Andrew?
Yes, I think if I remember right, that was one of my shouts, and it won quite convincingly on the What Does Your Fox In segment we done. And again, yesterday it kind of showed why he's hated by the Livingston faithful. I think his comments are absolutely ridiculous. I think it just plays into the hands of other people and other opposition fans claiming that Davy Martindale does everything. I think it's totally disrespectful to first up David Hopkin, who done an absolutely amazing job at the club.
Sir David Hopkin, sorry. And then obviously Gary Holt, who again done an incredible job at the club. And I think the comments that he made were just ridiculous, and it just shows the man with the biggest chip on his shoulder in the country that he didn't do a very good job when he was manager at Livingston, and he can't take that fact, and he criticises everything to do with the club. So yeah, it's not really a surprise that we've heard that for Alan Preston, to be honest. And you'd know a lot about chips on shoulders, Andy, as well.
My thoughts on the whole Alan Preston thing, it's, as you say, I mean, the guy was involved in our cup winning team. He should be held in high regard at Livy, in all honesty, for that spell. But as you say, he's had this massive chip on his shoulder since failing as manager at Livy, because that's what he did. He failed when he got the manager's job. And I mean, we've chatted to a couple of players since Alan Preston went in who were kind of like, they were a bit surprised he got the job as well. But he was given a chance at management, and, well, let's be honest, has he been a manager anywhere else since? No. What does that say? He never has anything positive to say about the club ever since he kind of got sacked. And whenever he covers any other games, he can't cover it impartially. He always needs to have a dig at the club in some capacity, which, to be honest, I think is just unprofessional, considering he's working in the media. I think his comments, as you say, are disrespectful to two managers that have done great things for the club, and Davy Hopkin and Gary Holt. They're two people I would never describe as being puppets. And I'd love to see Alan Preston try and tell both of them that to their face. And I think he's also potentially put off a guy who's wanting to get into management when he's talking about Jamie McAllister as well, which I think's poor from him when he doesn't actually know the facts. That's the thing. So I think Jamie McAllister should maybe go and ask someone who's a bit closer to the camp rather than someone who is, left the club in 2005. Hasn't been there for 15 years.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, Jamie, if you're listening, come and speak to us. Obviously, we're in the inner circle, so come and speak to us. We know all about the club. We have inside info, apparently. So yeah, come and give us a shout. But anyway, we're digressing slightly. So back to What Does Your Fox In? We're just a quick recap before we finish up. Callum, what does your Fox In shout this week?
Not enough credit given to the smaller teams in victories against big teams.
Ewan?
Mine is players wearing socks round the ankles.
And mine is teams getting announced in numerical order rather than positional order. So, yeah, we'll put a poll up on our Twitter. Go and vote for the one that annoys you the most, or does your Fox In the most, should I say. And, the winner will get the credit next week, and we'll go from there. Finally this week, we're going to take a look at our next opponents. It's a trip north to face St Johnstone and Perth. The big games keep on coming, thick and fast, and this one's no different. We have to go into it, though, with confidence after our last couple of results, though, don't we, boys?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's Bruni's assessment of the game done. Absolutely. I think we do need to go in with confidence. I think the last two performances have been really, really assured. As I mentioned, I think we've looked much better defensively the last two games, which I think is the biggest positive, and it allows you to build kind of going forward as long as you've got a kind of solid base there. We've been unlucky at McDermott Park not to come away with more points the last couple of seasons. I think most games we've gone there, other than the last one, which was the last game before kind of COVID hit. I think we've always played relatively well when we've gone up there. I think we've been unlucky not to come away with more points than we have. But St Johnstone are in very good form just now. I think they've only lost 1 in 10 or 11 games. Obviously got a point at Celtic Park today. We're recording just after that result. So they'll be full of confidence. They're obviously playing a bit differently than previous years. I think Callum Davidson is wanting them to play a bit more football, and I think that's, you can see their first kind of 10 games. I think they only won 2 of their first 10. And you look at it now, I think that's finally sort of bedding in the style of play he's wanted to get across. So I think it's going to be a really tough game up at McDermott Park, but I think we can go into it with a lot of confidence. We've already beat them this year. When we stamped our authority on the game, in the game at Livy, I think, we kind of overpowered them almost to an extent. And I think if we were to do that again, there's again a chance of a positive result.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they're a very good side. Obviously, a brilliant result for them today. I think their last defeat was actually the week after they played us, and they were beaten by Celtic, and then they were beaten by us the week before that. So I think it's, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 in all competitions. Off the top of my head, they've obviously got through in the Betfred Cup as well. Got through to the groups. Got through to the last 16, I believe. But no, they're a very good side. But as I said, I think they can play some nice football. But as can we, as I say earlier, if we play, the way we did in the second half against Dundee United, for the majority of that game, I think it'll be enough, to come away with a win. A point, I don't think is a terrible result. Obviously, there's stuff made of our away form and things, but it is a tough place to go. You touched on it, Ewan. Notoriously, we've not really got the best of records there. Again, being unlucky the last few seasons with performances and things over there. But no, I'm looking forward to the game, to be honest. That sort of, again, you just touched on it a wee bit earlier as well, but the fact that, it's amazing what a win can do. If you don't beat Dundee United, you're sort of dreading going to McDermott Park, and you're like, oh, it's probably another game that we won't win. But, that's 2 wins in a row, 2 clean sheets in a row. It's sort of given us a bounce, a bit of momentum. And I think, as I say, if we can play as well as we did in the second half yesterday, then we'll be more than fine.
Yeah, I think you both kind of touched on our record up in Perth against St Johnstone. I think our last win there was something like 2007, the last time we won up at McDermott Park. So it's not been a great place for us to go to, but I'm sure, I don't know the results, but I'm sure there's probably been a lot of draws in between then and now. We've obviously spent a lot of years in different divisions as well, so you can't read too much into that. I think we've more than held our own up there over the last couple of years. We've, like you say, been a bit unfortunate in games. I think that they've had a decent start to the season. Like you say, they struggled right at the beginning, but they've came on to form a little bit now. But their home form isn't great, which obviously gives us a little bit of confidence. I think it's only 2 and 8 they've won at home, and they're not scoring many goals. I think it's only 3 goals at home in the league this season, so that gives them a bit of hope. But obviously, like you say, that they're unbeaten in a few games now, and they'll go into the game with real confidence, having obviously gone to Parkhead and picked up a really good point. So it'll not be an easy afternoon, but I think we've got to get away from looking at our opponents and really thinking about ourselves, because I think if we go into the game and just do what we do best, we've got a great opportunity to go up there and get something from the game. I think if we play the ability that we know we can, we've got players that can hurt them. We've defensively, like you mentioned, June, we're far more solid now. And with St Johnstone, that sort of goal scoring form, defensive side of our game, and obviously, grab a goal or two and walk away with a win. But I don't think it'll be easy. But looking at the game, we obviously made one change to the lineup yesterday. We brought Serrano in to replace Steve Lawson. Do you envisage any changes going into this game, or do we stick with the status quo? I think, we talk about it every week, but we pick a team based on the way they've played the previous week, and they all done pretty well. So do we see any changes?
No, I'd probably keep the same team, to be honest with you. St Johnstone play a 3 at the back as well. Got a very good back line. I think it was Gordon, McCart today, and Sean Rooney it was. So I think coming up against a 3, like we did against Dundee United, sort of by the end of the game, sort of worked wonders in the end. Maybe stifled us in the wider areas with Forrest and Mullen not getting on the ball as much. But no, I think that they'll certainly come good. Devlin and Mullen down the right is a great partnership, as is Serrano and Forrest down the left. I think we're very dangerous in the wide areas going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see many changes getting made to the team, if any at all. But yeah, I think it will be it'll be a tough game, and kind of touched it. The first game at our place, they started with a 4 at the back, which kind of was a bit puzzling considering they played 3 at the back all season, and then from about an hour, with half an hour left, they kind of switched back to a 3 at the back in that game and started to really take control of the game. So it's obviously a system that they've been drilling quite a lot over the last few months since the season started. So, but as you say, we came up against a 3 against Dundee United and we caused a lot of problems. I think that helps, especially Poplatnik. He's very busy in the forward areas, and he can drag folk out of position like he did for the opening goal against Dundee United. And I think we've got more than enough to cause St Johnstone a lot of problems, but I can't see it being a high scoring game. I think it'll be very tight. I think if anyone's going to win it, I think it will just be a goal that's in it. Notoriously, the games up there are very low scoring when we've been up there in the past. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a tough game, and I think it will be 1-goal wins at tight game if anyone comes away with 3 points.
So that obviously leads us on nicely to predictions then. Ewan, what are you thinking then? You've obviously kind of thought that it's going to be a low scoring game. So, and actually backing up that, I'm sure I read somewhere that 70% of St Johnstone's games have been under 2.5 goals. So that kind of tells you that you're along the right lines there, that there's not going to be a lot of goals in the game. So what do you think prediction-wise?
I'm humming and hawing between being positive and really positive. I'm debating whether I go 1 each or 1-0 Livy, but I'm gonna say the David Martindale juggernaut is going to keep going. It's going to roll into Perth, and it's going to be 1-0 Livy.
Interesting. Callum, what do you think for this one?
I'm going to go with the 1 each. I think a draw, would be an all right result. Obviously, you want to keep that momentum going, but we are coming up against a very decent side away from home. So 1 each for me. And I think a shout for a goal scorer. I think Poplatnik will get his first.
Oh, big shout that. Yeah, I was kind of edging on the same as you guys. I was kind of contemplating 1-0, 1-1. But I need to do something because I'm lagging behind at the bottom of the league here.
What is the table, Andy?
I'm not sure. Ewan, what's the table? I think you'll be well in front, are you?
I'm a point ahead of Callum Moore. Callum Moore got 3 points for 2-0. So he's closed the gap. However, I'm still sitting on top of the perch. You two are miles behind, but Brunei is a point ahead of you, Andy.
Actually won last year, so I get double points.
No, we've discussed this. It was null and void. Take us to the court.
Wrong.
So I feel like I need to do something. I need to change it up. I need to be different to get things back on track. So this is not the prediction that I want, but I'm going to go 1-0 St Johnstone.
Paul.
I know, but if 1-0 St Johnstone, if it comes up, I mean, I'm not going to be happy that it comes up, but obviously I'll get 3 points if it does. But if it doesn't win, then I'm great as well because we get something from the game. So, just to be different, Just a quick recap. You're 1-0 Livy. Callum's going 1-1, and I'm going 1-0 St Johnstone for reasons as explained. So, with a bit of luck, I'm wrong. You guys are right, and we keep on rolling on this juggernaut, like you say, Ewan.
That's it for this episode of TalkLivi. Thanks to everyone who continues to tune in to our weekly ramblings. Agree with us, disagree with us. That's all okay because football is about opinions. Let us know what you think in our latest episode by leaving us a review on iTunes or simply by commenting on Facebook or Twitter.
Talking of social media, we're on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Simply search for TalkLivi to find us and all the links to the episodes. You can also find all the episodes, including this one, on all good podcast streaming sites, including iTunes and Spotify. We're also on YouTube, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel over there as well. If none of those options suit you though, all you have to do is head to our website, talklivipodcast.libsyn.com, where you'll find every single episode we've done over the last few years.
So that's it for episode 21. Thanks again to everyone for listening. But for now, from you and Callum and myself, we hope you have a great week.
A love will never die. West Lothian is our battle cry. This is the place from which we hail. Livingston, oh Livingston, it's up to Ammonvale. Livingston, 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 oh Livingston, oh Livingston, we love it when you score. Livingston, oh Livingston, the Ammonvale Lions roar. Livingston, oh Livingston, we realize our vision. Livingston, oh Livingston, into the Premier Division. Livingston, 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 Livingston. West Lothian boys, they play with style. They run until they drop.